we will be recording so that if you do miss anything, or if you have any colleagues that want to watch this later on, it will be available for watching later on. All right, next slide. Okay, so here's our agenda. You'll have my welcome. We're going to talk about the new advanced student policy and kind of a little history behind that. And then we'll have some community updates, NCL research contest announcement, and then Chip will share some of his research with us. And then kind of our main conversation today will be about the Canvas shell that I've been working on with some assistance from Stephen Miller. So we will go over all that. The plan is to kind of go through this talking piece kind of quick and try and give you ample time to get into the breakout rooms once again to work in groups and talk about the new NCL shell. So again, welcome. We've got Franz here on the line with us. He will cover a couple items for us, and so will Emily. So let's go ahead and jump right into the content of the meeting. Okay, so a little bit about the advanced student policy. So for those of you who were on the meeting last month, we did have a discussion over this, and we also had some breakout rooms to discuss what we want to do. And the idea here is we have a couple of groups of players, right? We have people that are brand new to cybersecurity and computer science in general, and they're either your high school or university level, or even specialized training level. And then we have people who do have some background already in the industry, and they're also playing the NCL. So what we were trying to do from our last meeting was get input from you guys to figure out how do we kind of separate these two groups of people. And one thing to reiterate is the NCL's mission. And our mission is to train and prepare new individuals to cybersecurity. So that's really our main goal of NCL. So we were trying to figure out how do we do that. And, we also want to, include as many people as possible, but also, keep it so that it's, fair and focused on what our mission is for the NCL. So when we went through all the feedback that we got, so we got feedback during the coach's call about what to do, and then we even got feedback after the coach's call. And we took all that feedback, reviewed it, and then brought it to NCL board. And I think I hope you're gonna like what we came up with in terms of what we're calling experienced, and how we're going to have those groups separated. So that's a little background about, again, what happened, and then also really want to focus on that. We did bring it to the coach's call to get feedback and ideas from there, because we also want to make sure that the NCL is something that is good for you and for your players. So with that background, I wanted to hand it over to Franz to kind of go over the details specifically about what we're going to talk about: experienced players, how we separate them, and then also what that's going to look like for when they sign up for the NCL. So go ahead, Franz.
All right, thanks, David. And I want to reiterate, we definitely appreciate all the feedback that you all provide on these coaches calls. It really goes towards informing the decisions that we make for the community. And just to really kind of emphasize why we're making changes, we know that a lot of students use their NCL performance when they're going to apply for a job. And because the NCL's mission is really to help new students enter into the workforce, when you have a lot of students who come in who might have 10 years of industry experience, it might be seen as an unfair comparison when having them on the same leaderboard as all of these students who don't have any experience. So I describe this as like we probably want to have different weight classes. Like if you have if you're looking at like wrestling or boxing, you've got different weight classes for the people involved there. There's basically different weight classes if you're coming in without any experience versus if you are coming in with a good amount of experience. This isn't meant to define how much skill someone has. It's more of an indication of their background coming into the NCL. And so the decisions that have been made, which have been sent out in a prior email, has been that there will be a new advanced student leaderboard. And this is going to be a leaderboard that will have a separate power ranking from the regular leaderboard. There's going to be a separate advanced student power ranking. And any student who identifies as being an advanced student, or any team that has a student who's an advanced student, will be placed on that new leaderboard and new power ranking. And we're giving students the ability to self-select if they would like to be considered advanced or not. And we provided recommended guidelines. I posted a link in the chat so that people can go and look at what those guidelines are. But as a quick overview, if you've got students, if you're a student who has a lot of industry experience working in cybersecurity in a technical capacity, that would be an indication that you're part of these advanced students. Or if you're in a postgraduate program, you might be considered an advanced student. Now, we are making this a self-selection because we know that sometimes these broad classifications do not properly account for individual circumstances. Maybe you have a job title that says cybersecurity in it, but then you don't end up doing very much cybersecurity work. Or maybe you're a postgraduate program and you don't have an extensive cybersecurity experience. We are letting the students decide what classification makes the most sense for them. But at the end of the day, our intention is to make it so that beginner students, when they go and show an employer that I have these skills, that they're not being outclassed, they're not being compared against people who already have a lot of experience. We want to make sure that those comparisons are fair. And so NCL has kind of sole discretion. If people are improperly classifying themselves, they will be switched into the appropriate leaderboard based on NCL's discretion. But really the whole point here is not necessarily to create two different tiers. It's meant to really make sure we have two different weight classes so that we are drawing fair comparisons with the players that are participating. So there is the link in the chat for the full details. And if you've got any questions, unfortunately, we don't have very much time on today's call to go over the questions. So send us an email there, and I'll also go look in the chat and we'll respond to any questions in the chat just as a text response.
Cool. And let me just do one quick follow-up, because there was an interesting question from a guy about does this change what's available in the gym? And just to reiterate, this isn't changing any of the content. So all players will have all the exact same challenges, categories across the gym, the practice, individual, team, game, all the same content. It's just a different leaderboard.
Yep, this is just in the data for the rankings. Everything else about the experience is exactly the same. And students will get the option during registration.
Exactly. So again, yeah, thanks for that, Franz. And yeah, I know this is something that's going to definitely generate some more questions. So please do type your questions now into the chat or email us. We're definitely happy to spend time clarifying and clearing up anything that your students might run into when they're self-identifying of like where they're at, experienced or not. And again, use that link that Franz just posted in the chat to learn more. Okay, next, so for some community updates, we have Emily here to walk us through what's going on, the exciting stuff happening in NCL. Go ahead, Emily.
Great, thanks, David, and thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon. We're thrilled to share with everybody that we are presenting the Capture the Flag competition for WiCyS. So if you're attending the WiCyS 2023 conference, our team is going to be there, and we're excited to have everyone join. There are going to be student and non-student participants. So if you're going to be at the conference, we'd love to have you do the CTF. And we're also going to be in the competition room throughout the whole entire conference. So stop by, make sure you connect with us on the Whova app. Once again, we are going to be there the entire time. So if you're not competing, but you'd like to see us face to face, Franz will be there. I'll be there as well. Dan Nansen is going to be there, and we'd love to connect with you all. So the competition, the CTF, is going to begin on Thursday, March 16th, and then it's going to end on Friday, March 17th. And we hope to see everyone there. Another announcement to make, the Insight Center is offering funds to cover NCL Spring 2023 registration fees for high schools. Keep in mind that the applications are going to be closing soon. It's recommended that you apply by today. There was an email that went out on February 8th with more details. But as you can see here, funding is limited, but there is a great opportunity if you're looking to get some scholarships for your students to participate in spring 2023. We absolutely encourage you to apply, and Franz has posted the link in the chat as well. And as always, if you have any questions about community engagement or you'd like to connect with me, my email is on this page as well. It's emily@cyberskyline.com. And once again, thanks for joining us, everybody. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you at WiCyS 2023.
Okay, and the next exciting topic that this is something that we talked about actually last year. And we do have a little bit more information for you now. So we are officially announcing our NCL research paper contest. So we will, let me just read this for you. So we'll be hosting a research paper contest to share the impact of NCL in the classroom or workforce development. One thing that I'm asking for you is to see if there's two of you coaches out there that would like to join the review committee. So I'll be on the review committee, and I'm looking for just 2 other people to also be on the review committee. Great, looks like we got one for Pick Me, thank you. So what we'll do is the review committee will establish criteria for judging the papers. We will get back to you on that. And Franz, there you go. Okay.
Sorry, I added the contact there for
no problem.
Contact Emily for if you're interested.
Okay. So submissions will be reviewed in September. So we're giving you guys a little while to work on those papers. And then we will have a $1,000 prize for the winning paper. We will give you more details as we get some volunteers here to join this review committee. So start thinking about that. Start thinking about what kind of research paper you might want, again, specifically for NCL in the classroom and workforce development. And I think I saw a couple volunteers already. Do you see that, Franz?
Yep.
Okay. And maybe to get you thinking about this research topic a little bit, we've got Chip and Barbara here to present some of their own research that they've done, specifically on the efficacy of cyber competitions in education. Chip, thanks for taking some time to join us and present what you found.
Thank you very much for the invitation. So Barbara couldn't make it. So my name is Chip Thornsburg. I'm with Northeast Lakeview College in San Antonio, Texas. We're a 2-year community college. Barbara Hewitt is on staff at Texas State University, and she actually heads up their health information security program there. So we wanted to look at how do we define, or how can we measure the success of our students, right, that compete, or I guess to put another way, if students are doing these competitions, which are required by NSA, right, it's part of our CAE designations, can we prove that it's actually being effective in helping them in their career choice? Are they going to make more money, or do they get promotions? How does this impact them? And so we started off with the thought of, let's look at what employers think about competitions. And I don't have, you're going to have to advance me on the slide. So we started off last quarter with an anonymous survey. We sent it out via multiple social media platforms and IT interest groups. We solicited input 3 different times we solicited participants when we limited our survey responses to hiring or IT supervising managers. We didn't want to get too far off, and we want to make sure that this is someone who has the capacity to either hire a new employee or pick up an intern or promote an existing employee, and how did they view cyber competitions in general. We managed to get 100 survey responses. We did not require that they complete every single question, though, you see. So this is kind of a sampling of some of the aspects that we thought would be interesting to this particular group. Go. Next. So when we asked them about existing employees, does your company encourage employee competitions or competition in cyber events? And surprisingly, I feel like we're missing a slide there. I think you skipped one. There we go. We wanted to first survey, are you aware, right? What is the general awareness of IT hiring managers, IT supervisors? Are you familiar with cyber competitions? We had a 4-point Likert scale. Everyone should be familiar with those. But we started with unfamiliar, I don't know anything. And then we went up through participated. We had no response either in unfamiliar or that they had actually participated. So the 28% said they were aware. And 72% of our respondents said they were very familiar with cyber competitions. Now the next one. So then we surveyed on considering your existing employees. Does your company have any sort of policy to encourage participation? 59% said they encourage existing employees, to do some sort of competition. And then a follow-up question with that is, are you aware of employees actually competing? And 62% said yes, they have employees that do compete in these cyber competitions that we find out across the internet. So next. The really important part of that, how likely would you be to consider this competition performance, right? For a raise, for promotion, or for recognition? Would you consider that? And 72% were either likely or very likely to consider participating in a competition when it comes to raises, promotions, or other recognition in the company. So that was pretty exciting to see. And then we switch over to interns or new hires. And this was really, for all of us, I think, in this was one of I was sort of astounded the amount here. So does your company consider participating in a cyber competition as valuable experience for a new hire or for an intern? And 91% said yes, they do. So the takeaway from that is absolutely we need to make sure our students are putting this back on their resume, because employers look at this as valuable experience work. And then the follow-up, have you ever hired someone who competed? And so 66% said yes, they have hired an individual that competed, and saw it on the resume. Next. So then we presented them with two different resume statements, one oriented towards team and one towards individual competition. And so as a team, if you saw that they competed and they're ranked number 123 of 3654 teams, would they be considered more favorable or less favorable? Would it alter your opinion in granting an interview? And 85.7% said that statement, that someone competed and showed the ranking as part of a team, they would be more favorable in granting an interview to that candidate, which was exciting. And next one. So then an individual, similar statement, we just changed up a little bit and said, they came in the top 10% as an individual. It was the same percentage, 85.7, but the categories actually changed a little bit. It's a little bit hard to see from our slides, and we found that as surprising. The employers tended to favor the individual competition more than the team competition, which we thought would be exactly the opposite. We assumed that working as part of the team would be more important to an employer than doing an individual, and the responses showed that it was actually flipped. They were more impressed by individual competition than team competition. I mean, we don't know exactly why. We plan to dig into that a little bit deeper. And next. And so again, this was a joint research between myself and Barbara. There's our contact information. This was, I should have started off, this was a very preliminary survey. Right, we just wanted to see kind of what are employer attitudes toward it. We feel that our results, it's difficult to generalize with only 100 responses, and because it was social media, which tends to amplify the groups that we run in, we're a little bit concerned that we're preaching to the choir. But it's, even if we reduce that 90% number by 20%, even if only 70% of employers are saying this is valuable experience, I think that really tells us that we're headed in the right direction. Barbara and I have plans. We're going to continue our research. We're going to dig deeper. We're trying to put together more of a longitudinal survey and track students over time and metrics of employment and has it impacted salary, and comparing those to non-competing institutions, non-competing. So that's our ultimate goal, so that we really can say it helps them get a job, a better job, and they advance faster in those jobs. I mean, those are really the things we want to see if competitions really do those things for us. And I missed the chat. I know there were a couple of
yeah, there's a couple questions out there for you, Chip.
Yeah,
research. So thanks again for taking time to present that. Really interesting findings. And I'm hoping that as people were watching this, maybe they thought of other ways to take this research as well. And maybe you can be inspired by Chip's research and have some research of your own that you could submit to our contest.
And we would love to collaborate. So I know there are other projects. We've talked to other researchers that are out there, but I think the more we can do to document that participating in these events is beneficial to our students, the better the better success we'll have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one thing to just say it, but when we can actually show them statistics and data from hiring companies and managers, that really does mean a lot. And then kind of following all along about putting this on your resume, if people are new to NCL, that you will know that we do have a scouting report, and that is something that we, at least I, and I know other coaches, encourage their players to include in their resume. If not the whole thing, some snippets from that scouting report. So great. All right, yeah, another question there for you, Chip. So follow along in the chat if you want to go ahead and spend some time responding to questions. And again, if people do think of questions offline, right there on the screen right now is Chip's and Barbara's email addresses. So if you are interested in contacting him and continuing on the discussion, please copy down those email addresses and email him directly, because as he said, he's also interested in further work and further collaboration as well. Okay, moving on to the next piece. I want to spend some time with you all in breakout rooms once again, talking about our Canvas shell. And something that I spent a good amount of time on was putting this Canvas shell together. So here's the concept. I've been working on my class for about 10 years and incorporating the NCL into my class. And what I wanted to do was be able to share some of the labs and lectures that I use in my class with others. And with that said, I've also had collaboration with Stephen Miller. He sent me his tools and material that he uses for his class. And then what I wanted to do now is see if any of you are also willing to share any of your labs or links to websites or anything else that you think would be beneficial in including into this Canvas shell. So if you're not familiar with Canvas. Canvas is another LMS. We have Blackboard is out there. That's another popular LMS. I designed this one in Canvas because that's what my institution uses. So that's why we have Canvas. If there's others out there that would want to take a Canvas shell, and I know you can convert it to Blackboard, maybe you can convert it to other platforms as well. That's another idea. But for now, Canvas is what I've got designed. And that's something that I want to be able to share with you all right now to get some feedback on. And then the end goal is to be able to share this with new coaches. So new coaches that want to jump in and start incorporating the NCL into their classrooms, we want to give them an easy on-ramp to be able to do that. And that means sharing as a community all the tools that we use to have our students be successful in the NCL and prepare them for the NCL. So Franz, do you have that link right there so you can so people can start looking and getting into the shell? So we have the visit instructure.com.search. Let's see, did you put that? Yes, okay, great. So good, Franz has the instructions pasted in, and cool. And it looks like we've got someone talking about a K through 12 cybersecurity shell. Yeah, so that is actually the next step. I do have a shell from a high school teacher, and it looks like we've got one other we could use as well. So great. So go ahead and follow those instructions to pull up the shell. And then the next step that we're going to do is once again, have you guys look and discuss this shell together. So Franz, do you also have the link to the Google Docs for people to work from?
I do. And as we are, I'm going to post that in the chat right now. But
Great.
Now is a good time for us to identify our room leaders. So if there are any of you who are not able to stay for the next half hour, we ask that you drop off around now so that we can get an accurate count of how many people will be available for the breakout rooms. I believe we will need probably around 5 to 6 room leaders to help kind of move the discussion forward and to document the notes from the breakout rooms. And of course, we have our Starbucks gift cards for those of you who are willing to volunteer as a room leader. And so if you're interested in being a room leader, please post in the chat and we will help get everyone organized. And I'm also going to post a link to the Google Drive with the notes for today. And you should be able to everyone should be able to edit these documents now. So please let me know if you've got any challenges with that. But I think, yeah, now we just need to identify our room leaders.
Okay, oh, cool, we got Lucy. So it looks like we're steady maybe around 30 or so. We're at 32. So, yep, so if you do want to stay, please, we invite you to stay. But if you do need to jump off and you got another meeting, no problem. Just go ahead and drop now, and we're gonna then continue with the group work. Great. All right, so listen, we have Lucy. Anyone else? Steven said he's available. Thank you, Steven. And Chip can, so 3.
Need 3 more.
That might be me and you, Franz. Oh, and Daryl too. Perfect. Oh, nope, Daryl's got to drop out. Sorry. All right, yeah, so we will definitely post everything we covered in our follow-up email, including notes from chat. Okay.
One more volunteer.
Anyone else? Anyone else want to help? All it entails is just taking notes. Oh, great. Anna can do it. Thank you, Anna.
Yeah, we'll buy everyone a coffee.
Woo! Okay, so now that we have our leaders, I think you've, Emily, or maybe you're jotting down the names. Let's go ahead and put everybody into the breakout rooms. So you will be randomly assigned to the breakout room, and those who've identified as helping lead, we will put each of you into a breakout room. And once again, Franz will post the notes. So look for your note link for the Google Drive. We'll post it. It might be a good idea to click on the link now before you jump into the breakout room, so you will be able to see your group's document to start working from. Okay, Emily, let's go ahead and get those breakout rooms going so people can start having time to talk.
I am. I think we are good to. Sure.
Okay.
So room one was Anna.
So why don't we start, Anna, if you don't mind, and you can, if you want to share your screen, or maybe Emily or Franz, if you guys have it pulled up already, maybe you guys should coordinate this, share the screen, and show the notes for room one as Anna talks us through it. Ah, perfect. Thank you, Franz. All right, Anna, take it away. What'd you guys talk about?
Sure. We had one gentleman join us late, and we have one participant that is brand spanking new to NCL and another that actually does integrate it as a part of their grading for the class. So we did a wide spectrum there. And so for the new to NCL, I really think they're probably going to need to get into the course shell and really see how that flows, but also get themselves into NCL as a competitor and start working on some of the challenges. Because I think when you do that, you really understand it from the student's perspective, and then it helps you as an instructor to be able to figure out, how do I integrate this as a part of the class? And I think that would be very beneficial there. As far as the organization, it was very clear, the different challenges or the categories that are in NCL. Towards the bottom of the modules, it was talking more about tools and trying to figure out where they would fit in the different challenges. That's the only suggestion I could see, because it just seemed like an awful lot towards the end that's if I shared that with my students, their eyes would roll into the back of their heads as far as, okay, that's information overload. But I think if you can help categorize it as to which parts of the competition these might be useful, then it'll help them focus, I think.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. And you kind of caught me in I was still doing housekeeping and trying to figure out, like you said, where to put some of those. So I will go back and do that, so that, there's kind of a bunch of uncategorized stuff at the bottom. So thanks for pointing that out. And also just a couple things to kind of reiterate what Anna said. For those of you new to NCL, like she said, going in and actually participating is a great way to start. And just so you know, the gym is open now, and the gym is a great way to start practicing, because not only do you actually see what Cyber Skyline, the platform, looks like, and the challenges, you also have walkthroughs that include PDFs and videos showing you how to solve the challenges. So I know that's always a concern from new coaches, is like, well, I don't know how to solve these. Well, you will if you go through the gym, because it will walk you through how to solve some of those challenges. All right, thanks, Anna. So let's go to breakout room 2, Stephen. Or Chip, sorry, both of you, whoever wants to lead.
Yeah, they swapped us. So,
okay.
We were in 2. So I was in there along with Russell Rittenhouse and Carrie Butler and Jonathan Derby were all in there with me. So we pulled up, and our initial reaction was, wow, that's just a bunch of stuff. And where do you start? So we started kind of sifting through it. My initial thought was we need to it should be broken down into modules. And Jonathan popped in right after I made that comment and said he had already downloaded it. And when he imported it into a Canvas shell, it came across as modules. So it was much easier to categorize there. Both Jonathan and Russell are introducing competition as a 1-credit course within their institutions, and so they're not really grading. I embedded it in our capstone or internship class, And so I'm going to have that challenge of grading participation for those students this semester. So that'll be a challenging thing. But either way, I mean, the general thoughts were it's a tremendous amount of information and just well done. I think the hardest thing for an instructor, I think, is sorting through and going, of this, what do I want to put in so that I'm not just overwhelming the students with, oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
I can hear my students. I can hear them from here. We haven't even started. Are you kidding?
So much.
Yeah.
And if anyone is a Canvas expert, that this is kind of a little off topic, but kind of following along what Chip was saying, is that I will continue to revise this shell. But if you imported it into your own class already, then that doesn't dynamically update whatever you imported it in. So you'd have to go back and look at the shell again to get the updates. So I just wanted to put that out there. Unless they're, like I said, a Canvas expert out there that knows a way to have me dynamically push updates to the shell.
No, you'd have to have it's a different version if you're making updates.
Each time it's got to be a new version, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it does, unfortunately.
All right.
I basically downloaded it just in case it went away.
Yeah, and actually, if anyone looked at this last week, this is version 2, so I've already updated it. Okay, so let's move on to Stephen, for room 3.
Okay, so we were just trying to go through the different modules and whatnot, and I kind of compared that, what was there, what you had developed with what I had provided you all earlier with our Canvas course that we use at Eastern New Mexico University in Ruidoso, and which can I share that real quick, or would that be a problem?
You mean to show it?
Yeah, just to show you the kind of.
And I just set you as a co-host, so you should be able to share screen.
Which, just to note, I attached our meeting notes to Team 2 because that's all it was letting me access. And so Stephen's notes are on Team 2.
Thank you. Thank you, Pamela. Yeah. So this is there was some question from how would this look? And so this is it, looking at our NCL course, and it's the co-requisite. So if you're in a course, any cyber course at the institution, you're required, you can't even register for any cyber course and anything in the degree program that's related to IT, unless you are in the NCL IS 254 class. And then the way that's set up, we do have an overview, just kind of telling them about what the NCL is and how to navigate through the course. And then the modules is something that was a lot of everyone had some questions about the modules. We actually have a syllabus and a schedule, and the schedule is pretty important for students so that they to keep them on track, because one of the things we found that students, even with the Canvas shell, unless you kind of give them some direction. So that's one reason why we have things kind of set up on a we have the getting started module. This is all just stuff that the college requires, but we get down here to the actual modules. So learning module 1 usually starts at week 1, and that kind of gives them the overview, just kind of like David, what he's already done too. But we concentrate on the rules of conduct. We have a quiz that they have to answer for the rules, and we have some discussion on there so they can get some points. Even though this is a non-credited course, it's a 0 credit, but what we do is give them extra credit in their regular class. So as you can see, here's players getting started resources. The other thing that we've been doing in here is using the MS Teams meetings. And so some of our experienced, sometimes it'll be a faculty member, a coach. Other times it'll be a student that's done a research. Like we had one student that went over how to download and use Black Ubuntu. And then we had another one talking about the Wireshark. And then different items. And we try to break it out every week to where we'll have a student usually talking about open source intelligence. Well, how do they address those problems? And we tie it back to both the gymnasium and then the practice session. So anyway, this just kind of give you an idea. It's kind of broken out like what David already.
Right. And Stephen, just so you know, I did pull in a lot of what you have here into the shell. And when you do import it into Canvas, it will show up by module. So for some reason, when you look at it in the common section that you're seeing, it's not as organized as you're showing it here. And that's what happens is when you pull it into your Canvas shell, then it will, or into your Canvas at your university or high school, it will show up more organized in that module view.
Yeah, one thing we may want to do too, as far as different schools, because we can't, ours is an evergreen type of a module. So we're adding new tools that students actually discover things that we don't have time to do.
Yeah,
so we've been incorporating those in. So maybe there's a way we could do through the open canvas, have a repository, or maybe get it to you all so you can look at it, vet it, and say, yeah, we'll put that in the course.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we'll go back and think about this too, about how to make this more dynamic. All right, well, thanks, Stephen, for sharing that. I appreciate it. We do have 2 more. So Lucy, if you're ready for breakout room 4, and then Franz, will have you finish up at the end in the last couple minutes.
Okay, well, the first thing Franz is going to do, I was going to say, one of the first things I want to do is make sure that all my team goes back into that worksheet and put their names in it for me. That'd be great. We were trying to make sure that everybody was able to get in, find the course shell, and possibly review it on their own, because some of us didn't have the Canvas course shell. As you can see, one of us actually had Brightspace learning management system. So we went ahead and did that. We talked about some of the different learning management systems, and we want to know if there were any that these would actually work with. And that's as far as we got with that. The other question that we had was how to find and load the shell into either Canvas or one of the other learning management systems. And then that's as far as we got with that. So.
Okay. Great. Well, yeah, I think it does seem like we will revisit this again next month, because I think there's a lot more to talk about. I think this was just the intro to it. So I think we can expect to spend more time again on this next month if everyone thinks it's worthwhile. All right. Thanks, Lucy. Franz, you want to close us out on your group's discussion?
Sure. And I'll add one quick note. I did record a video tutorial on how to import the shell into your own Canvas course. So I'll post a link to that in the chat again. Likely, as we kind of develop this, we'll have to go and update the tutorials and update the guides. So this is definitely a work in progress. But maybe that is helpful if anyone kind of watches that tutorial and it's still is not working or doesn't make sense. Please give us that feedback, because we'll want to make sure that this is as accessible as possible. For my breakout room number 5, kind of going over the general feedback, it seems that having the Canvas shell just in general is extremely helpful, especially for getting new coaches up and running into NCL. A piece of feedback was that having the activities are good rather than just giving students kind of the answers. Having activities where they actually have to go and maybe learn something or do some of their own research to be able to solve it. It's very helpful, because there might be some limited value if they are just told everything that they need to do. So that's an important component. And then another piece of feedback is maybe we could make it more clear on what tools would be helpful to solve what tasks. So maybe that goes into coincides with some of the feedback from, I believe, room number 1 or room number 2. And in terms of additional additions to the course shell, maybe having a collection of tools that might be helpful within NCL. I think part of that is already incorporated within the NCL resource document. And I can post a link to that in the chat if people have not seen that already. And maybe some cheat sheets, how to use different tools, tips and tricks, things for students to quickly review and pick up tools more quickly than just watching like a whole video or going through a whole presentation. And I think those were the key components. But I would be curious to see if we did send out new this season information about the NCL resource guide, which has information about like a proposed practice schedule and links to different learning resources. Are people seeing that in the emails that come out? I just want to know if we need to do a better job of sending that information out to people, or if people are receiving it. Just a quick yes or no in the chat would be very helpful for us to understand how we can better communicate. But I'll also concurrently, I'll post a link to those resources in the chat if you have not seen it.
Okay, cool. We're getting some feedback in chat there. So it looks like some yeses. Good. People are seeing it and using it. Okay, well, thanks again, everybody, for your time and efforts on this. I appreciate it. I know that new coaches will appreciate the time that we're spending on creating and putting together material, and hopefully it'll be useful for you as well. So my plan is to continue this discussion next week, or not next week, next month, on our coaches call, to be able to go through and refine this shell even more, and also talk about other places where we can post this and other LMS systems we can use. So again, thanks everybody, and don't forget, if you haven't already, sign up for NCL. The gym is open and ready to use. We will see you next month.